So Sally, 2013, that's the 17th festival now,
right.
in Oxford. What for you stands out as the one single highlight?
That's very difficult to say, Gerard, but I do think Seamus Heaney was fantastic. And he rarely does the festivals in England now, so we're very lucky to have had him.
I was there, and it was like a red carpet premiere for a major Hollywood movie in Leicester Square. I've never seen scenes like that, actually.
Well, it was the Sheldonian was packed to the rafters, and what was fantastic was he was talking in conversation rather than doing a lecture or just reading poetry. I don't mean that dismissively, but we got to see something of the man behind the poems.
All right.
Fantastic.
Now, let me throw you a low ball. What was the worst part of the festival for you?
I think the worst part was the snow.
Really? I would have thought that was a nice bookend because it fell last Sunday when there was a talk on C.S. Lewis, and I thought that tied in nicely with Narnia. And then, of course, it snowed again this weekend, and it has lent, I feel, Christchurch and the festival itself almost a whimsical style of fancy.
Well, I think you're right. I think snow is very pretty and romantic, but if it means speakers can't get to the events and we have disappointed audiences, it causes me quite a few problems.
But come on, Sally, you haven't had any disappointed audiences, have you?
No, of course not.
One controversy that I can think of straight away is whilst I was watching Seamus Heaney, there was a woman sitting next to me wearing a sombrero.
And I hope people could see over her.
Yes, don't worry, don't worry. Now, I think one thing that a lot of people have noticed during this festival, Sally, is its accessibility. And by that I mean, I feel, and many others do as well, that you have truly reached out to all quarters of both the city and the county as a whole to make this a very inclusive event. How have you done that?
Well, it's a really nice thing to say, actually, Joe, because we're really conscious that this festival is available to everybody. And how we've done that is we have a fantastic kids programme. So from 3 upwards, we put events on for the festival. And secondly, I don't believe that you should dumb down anything. I think everybody, good speakers talking about fantastic subjects, interesting subject matter, is available to everybody.
I agree. And the other thing that I think we should stress is that if you have the very best in the world, and they are here to explain to people from all different kinds of backgrounds and ages, you don't need to dumb down at all because you've got the cream.
Exactly. And I think people know when they're being talked down to.
I agree with you. Now, how have we done with regards to having schools actually visit? I noticed that there was one event in Christchurch Hall itself.
Yes. Oxford Brookes University collaborate with the Oxford Academy in Oxford and put together a writing project which culminates at the Literary Festival, where the writing is read in Hogwarts Hall, and the teachers and Oxford Brookes teachers come down, and it's made into an event in itself that's open to the public as well as to school children and their parents.
I was there, and it's appropriate in a way that it was in Hogwarts Hall because it was magical. These were pupils year 7 and 8. And certainly from my point of view, when I was that age, having to stand up and perform in front of, say, an aunt or an uncle would have completely terrified me. But to do it in Christchurch Hall in front of a considerably sized audience and journalists and cameramen was fantastic.
And very brave.
Oh, incredibly. And also all the children involved got a little booklet that was actually published by the festival with their poems and their stories in. Now, clearly, right now, you must be exhausted.
I'm quite tired this afternoon.
I mean,
I'm really looking forward to, I really feel we've had a great festival, and I'm really looking forward to next year.
Because there are just a few hours left. Jack Straw is going to be, well, one assumes talking. Of course, he may sing, but he's coming up in a short while. Have you given any thought at all to 2014?
Oh, I'm always thinking about the festival, and one of the things that we really want to focus on next year is to make it even more international. So we had writers from over 20 countries this year, and I've been talking to the woman this morning who runs the Calcutta Book Festival, and she's going to bring a day of Indian writers for us. So that's something that we'll have in place next year that doesn't exist this year.
And you know that I know that one project you're also thinking about is actually having a film screenwriting event, possibly looking at how great books are actually turned into movies.
Well, as you know, Jeremy, we have a relationship with BBC4,
Sure.
who gave us 3 premieres this year to broadcast with directors talking about those films, and we're going to develop on that with workshops on how to write for television, film, as you've just said.
And where do you think the festival will be in 10 years?
Good question.
That's why I thought I'd ask it.
Well, I think we all feel we haven't sort of slogged our guts out for 17 years for this thing to disappear. This thing's here to stay. And I'd always thought that whatever happens to me, the biggest thing we can do is leave this in Oxford for future generations. And that sounds a grand idea, but that's what we're aiming for.
Now let me ask you this. Every night when you go to bed during the festival, do you naturally pick up a book and start reading it? Or are you so tired that your head just hits the pillow and you're out?
No, I read a book.
Really? And what book have you been reading during this
A
festival?
Folio Society book called The Green Gage Summer, which I've never read, which was made into a film in 1960 starring Kenneth More and Jane Asher.
And
as a family in France in the summer.
And because we now live in an era of lists, can you tell us what your favourite book of all time is?
I can't. I really can't, because I love so many different books for so many different reasons that you pick up and you respond to for different reasons at different times in your life.
Okay. How are you going to celebrate tonight?
With a nice big glass of white wine.
Fine. That sounds great. Sally, I think I speak for everyone involved in the event and everyone in the city who's become involved with the event when I say it is truly extraordinary that we have such an astonishing event here every year, and that is because of you. And personally, I can't wait for the next 10, 20, 30 years.